Labor Day, everybody. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Pat Cavlin here with Look at Your tropical update. It is Monday, September 1st, again Labor Day, and we are talking about a pretty quiet picture across the Atlantic, which is great news as we get closer and closer to the peak of hurricane season. We're still watching that one wave here, now off the west coast of Africa over the open Atlantic. And we're going to keep a very close eye on this as it moves over open water. The Hurricane Center now upping the odds. Actually, they're upping the odds now to 60%. I forgot to change this graphic, so they're a little bit higher than they were before. Bottom line, though, still medium odds for development here. Changing it live. This is the beauty of live broadcast, right? So 60% odds now for development with this tropical wave, and it will continue to move towards the west here in the next few days. Once it gets into that orange shaded area, the Hurricane Center thinks, again, that there is a 60% chance that this develops. As you saw earlier this afternoon, it was a 50% chance, so the odds continue to go up. Let's take a look at how this looks on the big map. We've got high pressure across the North Atlantic. That's going to be the steering flow for this wave. That's going to keep it south, and it will keep it moving west here the next few days. Right now, it's not very well organized. On this map, we look for concentrated balls of red color that indicate systems that are trying to organize. And so watch what happens as we put this into motion. We do get some organization here by the end of the week and the weekend, but check out the timestamp. It's not until the beginning of next week that we actually see this thing getting closer to the Antilles. So we've got a lot of time to watch this system here the next few days as it moves over open water. Within that span, it may grow even to a tropical storm or hurricane. But again, it'll just be out over open water. It's not really until the beginning of next week that we're going to have to keep a very close eye on where this thing goes to determine if it poses a threat to land or if it just continues to go out to sea. But this high pressure here will be a big factor in determining if it keeps going west or if it just hooks to the north and goes out to sea. Here's a different perspective. It's the same model, but it's just showing you cloud cover and also the wind streams around it. So notice by Friday, this model thinks we've got a closed area of circulation, maybe a tropical depression, maybe even a tropical storm. As we keep this going through the weekend and into the start of next week, notice we start to jog farther north. So as we gain latitude, the question then becomes, will it keep going north and curve around that high, similar to what Hurricane Erin did a month ago, or does that high spread farther west, pushing this system towards either the Bahamas, towards the Antilles, towards the United States? We don't have the answer to that question yet because this is as far out as this model can go. But the question will need to be answered whether or not it's going to the west or going to the north. That's where things stand right now. So as we check out satellite across the Atlantic, I mean, it is just dead quiet right now. We've got nothing going on here across the tropics. The only feature we're watching is that wave that's now over open water. Very disorganized, just a cluster of thunderstorms. But once this cluster spends enough time over the open Atlantic, if the conditions are favorable enough, again, we could see a tropical depression form maybe by the end of the week. On our side of the globe, the Caribbean, dead quiet, nothing going on there. And even the Gulf is fairly quiet right now, although notice we've got a couple of storms here over the southern Gulf through the Straits of Florida and then up the East Coast. That's all part of a stationary boundary that's pretty much been in place for the last few days. This is what brought us the heavy rain here in Houston. Today, yesterday, the day before, again, it's stationary, so it hasn't moved much. I do think that it'll start to wash out, though, as we get into the next few days. But typically with these stationary boundaries, we just keep a very close eye on them, an extra close eye. One, because systems can develop off of these stationary boundaries, especially if they're over warm tropical water for a long period of time. And the second reason is that it's close to home. So if something does develop, it doesn't give us a lot of time to react. But right now, there's no area shaded here to keep an eye on from the Hurricane Center, so we're not going to worry about that for the moment. We are getting close to the peak of hurricane season. Today is September 1st. The peak of the season is September 10th. We're a week and a half away. That being said, things are pretty quiet for now. I do think things will start to pick up towards the second half of the month into October. That still coincides with our climatological or historical peak for the season. The good news, though, is that once we get beyond mid to late October, our threat for tropical weather here in southeast Texas really starts to drop off. By that point, we start getting cold fronts in here that kind of act as deflectors for any tropical systems. That's the latest though right now. We do these tropical updates every single night at 8 p.m. to keep you in the loop and informed with what's going on. Most of the time, we don't have a lot to report on, and that's great news, but sometimes, again, things can change. And as that wave starts to develop out over the Atlantic, stay tuned with the forecast, stay on top of things here as we go through the next week, just to see where it goes, how the forecast evolves, and we will keep you in the know. That's the latest here. We'll have more coming up with the KHOU 11 News at 10 o'clock, and we hope to see you there.